Welcome to the Fail Forward podcast. I've met many people over the years who have failed and given up. The point of this podcast is to get people to understand that failure is part of the process. Welcome back to the Fail Forward podcast. Today I've got Natasha Britton with me. Natasha has been in the beauty industry and she's also an award-winning business coach. So welcome to the podcast, Natasha.
Thank you so much for having me, Henry.
So Natasha, tell me, you owned and ran a beauty business before you became a business coach. So how did that business start? Tell me your business journey to start off with.
Oh my God, it's a long journey, but it's really started back when I was in school. I was doing nail extensions on myself, and I always wanted to run my own salon. And my background, I come from a council estate in North London, so for me to have that dream and that aspiration of wanting to have my own salon was very unrealistic, shall we say, at the time. And basically, I always held really strong to that vision. And, throughout my life, I've had lots of ups and downs, as we all do. I was actually a teenage mum at the age of 17. So I had my baby very young, and everybody was against me. They were all saying, oh, you can kiss goodbye to any career that you think you're going to have. That's it now. You'll probably end up in benefits on the council estate, and that's it. You're done. But little did they know, I was actually writing my business plan at the time, and I was researching, how do I set up a salon? And basically, throughout the years, this has always been something that came back to me over and over again. And it was like a burning desire that I needed to get out. And it was only in 2013 that I met my business partner. And he had all of the money to invest, and I had all the business brains, everything I taught myself over the years, and we decided to go into business together. So he was almost like my investor and my business partner at the same time, and we went into business together. He put up all of the money. I was like the brains behind it, and we founded our first company in 2013 in a very busy shopping centre in Greater London. And it's been a roller coaster journey since then.
I can imagine. How did you guys meet?
We actually met because he used to do my nails. I was going to him for so many years, and every month I used to get my nails done and we would talk about business, and we were so passionate about business together. And one day I was on maternity leave with my third baby, and he said, look, you're not working at the moment, so do you want to go into business together? And I was like, are you sure, really? And I was like, well, I've got loads of time, so I can, with 3 kids as well, I can just fit that in. And I was actually on maternity leave from my city job. I had a good job in the city that I'd been working at for 7 years. And I really didn't want to go back, because they used to tell me what I could wear, what nail colour I could have. And nails have always been a big thing for me. So when the opportunity came around that I could actually leave that job and go and start my dream business that I've always aspired to do, I was like, I don't care if I've got to leave a secure job. I need to do this. This is like the universe speaking to me.
Yeah, absolutely love that. So you put it out to the universe. And so tell me, like, what do you think it is? You mentioned you come from a council estate in London. You then had everyone telling you you're not going to be able to do this, not going to do this. What do you think it is that's been the driver? Because a lot of people just go, oh, okay, I'll stay back in my box. And, now I'm here and everyone's putting me here. What do you think it is that drove you forward to really want that?
Yeah, I think I've been on a self-discovery over the many years. Like, where do I get this ambition from? I don't know where I get it from, but it's this burning desire within myself that I need to show people that no matter where you come from, and if you've got a big dream, a big desire, a big goal, you have to keep working towards it. And if I can inspire that in all of these business owners, all of these people that I meet every single day, I feel like I've kind of done my job, my purpose of why I'm here. Like, I do really feel like I'm here to inspire others to keep going, even when things are getting tough, even when you feel like you've failed, or if things aren't going to plan, or people are telling you you can't do it, like, if you've got that strong desire and that passion within you, don't give up on that, because the worst thing that I could think of is sitting on my deathbed and going, what if, what if this had, like, to have that regret is the worst thing ever, in my opinion. I don't know about you, Henry.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. When I make decisions, I always think about where I'm going to be in 10 years and what am I going to regret more? I recently left working for Progressive and I was doing 5 days a month up there. And my part of my decision was in 10 years' time, am I going to regret this or not regret it? And the thing I came to is that I'm not going to regret it because I'm going to get to spend more time with my kids and I'm not going to regret that. And it's like every decision I make, like what is it? Am I going to regret more working harder now or spending more time with my kids? Or am I going to regret starting this business and failing, or never even, or having a thought of it and then never doing it? Like I always used to have one friend who used to say, "Oh, I've got a great business idea," and then 2 years later he'd go, "Oh, someone else has started it already," because he'd procrastinate for a couple of years. So I would completely align with exactly what you're saying. So you meet this guy, you've been telling him your business plans, which I absolutely love. Like I think one of the things I did from early on is tell everybody I want to start my own business, and then suddenly I met somebody like you who helped me start my own business. So you've started your beauty business. What were the biggest challenges you came into when you're running that business?
Oh my God, yeah. So obviously, once you've got the aesthetics sorted, you know what flooring you're going to have, you know what equipment you're having, what the team is going to look like. You've got all of that sorted, and you feel like, right, I've got over this massive hurdle. I've set up the business, I've paid the 3 months up rent up front, all of that stuff. And then you open the doors and you think, I'm in a really busy shopping centre. People are just going to walk in, they're just going to walk in, they're just going to find us. We set up the business in an area where we had no client base at all, so we literally were starting from the ground up. And I thought I could just open the doors, put up some balloons, do a little party with family and friends, and I thought, people are just going to walk in, and that didn't happen. It was a bit of a shock to the system. It was a shock because I had staff from the get-go. I always said I don't want to be a therapist working in my business. I want to be a business owner. That I was so strong on. So I had a team from the beginning, and with a team, obviously, comes massive overheads, staff costs, things like that. So I quickly realised that, shit, I'm going to have to try and get myself out there. What marketing activities do I need to do? How do I get known in the area? And it was those sort of challenges, and I'd never managed a team before. I'd never had to motivate a team to do well. So it was all of these things like sales processes, marketing, leading a team. It took me a while to figure all of that out. And it took about 3 years. I didn't pay myself any wage, and I was living off credit cards, borrowing money, and I got myself into about 50 grand's worth of debt doing that. And it was only by about year 3 that I started to get outside help and started to invest in coaches, mentors, programs. And then I started to turn the business around once I started to learn these things. Google My Business as well was a big one that I sort of mastered and was able to get to number 1 without spending any money on ads, because I literally had no money. And it was things like that I learned over a period of time. And it was a hurdle. I nearly gave up so many times, but I thought, I just can't do it. Everybody looked at me from the outside. If you looked at me from the outside, you think, oh my God, she's doing really well. She's been in business 2-3 years, she's doing well. Things look like they're going great. But really, behind closed doors, I was at rock bottom. I was working 70 hours a week, not paying myself a wage, getting into so much debt. I had debt collectors at the door. I had my mortgage company at the door trying to repossess the property. There was so much going on. And that's why I'm such a huge advocate for paying yourself a decent wage. Like, minimum 50k a year. If you've got a business, you should be paying yourself that minimum. And that's why I'm so passionate about business owners really working on their business so that they can pay themselves a decent wage.
Yeah, and that's what I followed you a lot on social media, and I see you always talking about that, and then even some people having resistance because it seems to be like the common thing that a lot of business owners will do that exact thing, and they'll do it all on their own. And you did 3 years doing it on your own without any help. I did 10 years, and I was like that, and I ended up. I remember my first business coach came in, and he was like, "Henry, I think I was paying myself whatever the director wage was at that point, but no dividends, which was like 700-800 quid." And he's like, "You're doing 78-hour weeks." He's like, "You're getting paid like less than the cleaner in this building. You're getting paid less than everybody, and you're working more." And I just got to the point of complete burnout. So going back to where you were, you did 3 years, and obviously you had children as well, so that must have been a whole added amount of stress. What was the point that you suddenly just realized, like, you did 3 years on your own, and you suddenly went, like, what was it? What was the bit that you went, I need some help? Like, how do I find it? What do I do? Like, how did you go from that process of doing 3 years on your own and then moving into finding some support?
Yeah, it was actually, I hit rock bottom. And rock bottom was the bailiff showing up to the shop demanding about 10 grand. And I thought, shit, we're going to have to close the business down for a day. We had to pretend that the electric wasn't working. And we had to try and find money to pay these debt collectors. And that was rock bottom for me. I was like, look, I can't do this. I'm not paying myself a decent wage. Like, now they're showing up at the shop. This isn't good for business, you know. And it was like, right, I need to start to turn things around. That's when I started to reach out for help. And whatever money I did have, I started to invest in programs. And really, I didn't have the money because we were VAT registered as well. You know, we had to pay VAT, tax, all of that stuff. You know, it was a big struggle, but I found the money from somewhere, and I just started to invest in coaches, in programs, and just learning things from other people.
Yeah, it's so important, isn't it? I remember I was in the same position. We had loads of PAYE debt, VAT debt, all this debt, and my first business coach walked in and he said he wanted £2,000 a month, and I knew I couldn't afford it. But literally within 3 or 4 weeks of working with him, we had a cash flow forecaster, and I could sleep properly again. And we suddenly started putting all these things in, and it made such a difference. So at this point, was your business partner still involved at that point? What was his feelings around it? What was going on that side of things?
Yeah, I quickly realised that he basically was downstairs doing nails and pedicures, and I was upstairs doing laser and skin treatments. So they're quite high end treatments, and a lot of people didn't realise I was upstairs, and they thought that the people that were just doing nails downstairs were doing the laser upstairs. And there was like an incongruence because he wanted a fast turnover with very low service, and I wanted a higher ticket item with very high service. So I realized that we were kind of mismatched. So I had to try really, really hard to get my marketing out there to say that we are this high end service. And he was doing okay. He was doing well, and he kind of did prop up my business for quite some time. And any losses that I was making, he was able to claim off of his profit. So it kind of worked out in a way because he didn't have to pay as much tax. But it got to the point where I thought we're going in very different ways, so we need to separate the businesses. So we separated our two businesses because we were one business. We separated the businesses, and then he had his own cash flow and I had my own. And I think that was a great sort of turning point for me because then I could really focus on just me rather than the whole business. Um, and from there, I was able to really turn the business around and start to grow the business to the way that I wanted it to grow. And it was in the fourth year that I actually told him that I'm going to leave, and I'm actually going to set up around the corner. And he was so happy for me, and we still have a great relationship. He's like, look, I know you got to do what you got to do. And I think being upstairs, I just didn't have the presence that I wanted it to have. I didn't have like the aesthetics that I wanted to have. I wanted my own sort of customer bathroom. I wanted it to be really high end and luxury, and it kind of wasn't working out that way for me. So I left and I set up round the corner. I actually was able to pay off my debt, and I was able to invest my own money into the business. I did spend about 75 grand just making my own clinic. It was a shell, but my way, yeah, exactly. I wanted a customer toilet that was so luxurious. We had this really ornate bowl for a sink and things like that. It was just so elaborate. So I just went all out on everything because it was my dream of what I had when I was that 16-year-old girl sitting there writing my business plan. And yeah, so we left on really good terms. I set up the business. It did take a while to sort out all of the lease and everything like that. But by September, it was 2018, I'd set up my own business, and we literally doubled our sales overnight. It was crazy. The team were working really well. We had the perfect location, perfect environment to grow in, 4 treatment rooms, upstairs, downstairs, absolutely amazing. And I was able to set up the business where I didn't have to go into the business anymore. I systemized it so it was paying me a decent wage. Finally, I was taking that decent wage. I wasn't working the hours that I was working before. I cut them down to about 20 hours a week, and then I completely stepped out and I was doing 0 hours a week and still taking that decent wage. And then it was only during COVID that the business closed, obviously. All of our businesses closed, but we were the first to close because we're close contact. And it was within about 5 weeks of closing, I was able to set up an online business and help other salon owners do exactly what I'd done. Systemize the business, work on the business, grow it, and pay yourself a decent wage. And that's what I did during that COVID lockdown period.
Yeah, absolutely love that. And that's how we met through the what's BMM, but now Inner Circle Mastermind, right?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
when, yeah, we got to know each other through there and then meeting at Expert Empires. So, so through COVID, did your business have to close and it ended, or did you start it back up? How did that go?
Yeah, so obviously when it all happened, I was like, I'm not spending any money because I don't know where I'm going to get my next wage from. I don't know how I'm going to pay the team. Then the furlough scheme came into things, so that really did help us. And because we were all set up legitimately and paying, into the tax system, we was able to really save the jobs of my team. And that was a lifesaver for us. So I was on furlough from that business, and if you're on furlough, you're not allowed to work in the business. You have to be on furlough. So that gave me the perfect opportunity to spend time on setting up this new business, this online business. And it was during that time, obviously I was growing the online stuff. Then we were able to reopen. So I reopened the salon and I was running them both. And this is where I was able to really let the team get on with that. Obviously, I had to support them a bit more because it was very strange times during that time. None of us had been through anything like that before, so I did get back into the business and was helping them with that and just keeping them going, doing what we could basically at the time. And so I was running the two businesses, and it was phenomenal. I was like, wow. And then what I slowly realized over many months was that I could basically earn what my whole entire team was earning on my own, With my online business, there's no overheads. So I put my business hat on and I decided to sell the business in December 2022. And I exited that business. And now I'm fully living the online mentoring business lifestyle, you know. So I absolutely love it. It's been able to give me freedom. The actual results that my clients are getting is phenomenal. Like that, I'm so passionate about, because I see the struggle. I see myself in them, you know, 10 years ago. And I know exact, as soon as they come to me, I know exactly what they need. I know exactly what they need to do. And in my head, it's a very simple, step by step, practical, easy method that they need to follow. And when they join me, they're like, oh my God, they're all over the place. You know, they're literally frazzled and exhausted. And I totally get that, because I was once there too. So when they join me, then I just give them that step by step process, and it's like they start to get results, and it's so rewarding, so
Yeah.
rewarding.
I absolutely love this because you've gone through the whole journey. You've had the dream of starting your salon. You didn't give up. You've got that ambition coming through, and you've experienced the bad and the good. And I always say in business, like, you don't really learn until you experience the bad. When business was good for me in the early days, I learned. It was simple. It was hard, but money was good. Money came in. It wasn't until it all went wrong for me till I really learned. And what I love is the fact you've taken all of that and now you're turning it into a coaching program. And there's so many coaching programs out there where people haven't experienced it all. And the fact is that you can now look at it and go, I remember that. I remember how that feels. And it means you care 1,000 times more. And it also shows, Natasha, because you're an award-winning business coach. So it's not only that, but that you're getting your results and you're getting the accolades. So tell me, to go back to, this is where we talked about a lot on your statuses, when you put up, you must pay yourself 50,000. And I always see a lot of people agreeing with you, and then a lot of people just going, how, like, how? So I know that it's a very probably a long answer, but like, if someone's listening to this now, whether they're beauty or wherever, and they're on their own, or they're running a business and they're paying themselves minimum wage, not paying themselves, what's the biggest bit of advice you can give someone to start them to get onto the road to being able to pay themselves 50k plus a year?
Yeah. Like all service businesses are the same, like you say, Henry. You know, if you're providing a service, you're most likely going to be, your head is going to be in that service. So it's taking yourself out. I know it might sound counterintuitive to stop the service or even take some hours out of working in the business, but having that mindset shift, because we're going to have to start with mindset first. That is the number one thing. So having that mindset shift of, actually, right, I need to block out time to work on the business rather than in it. That is going to be really crucial to building a business that can pay you a decent wage. So starting with the mindset first is crucial. The second part is building the habits and routines. So looking at your habits, looking at your routines, what's serving me? What are my high value activities that I'm actually doing on a day-to-day basis? What is moving the needle forward in my business? Do I need to get more clients? Do I need to get a better conversion rate when I am getting the leads into my business? You know, really looking at them high value activities is key. The next is implementing a strategy. So having a strategy for the business, not just turning up and just attracting by default, really being deliberate about the decisions that you're making. Having a strategy to grow the business is going to be key. Then we have to look at the systems and processes. So having a framework around the business so that you can remove yourself a bit from the business, because there's no point in building a business that is just a glorified job that doesn't really pay you holiday pay, that doesn't pay you sick pay if you're off. It's about building a business so that you can have time off, that if you're not there, the business still exists. And that's a really strong position to be in, because then you can exit the company, you can actually sell the company because it is sellable. you're not just selling you, you're selling your company that can run without you. And then once you've looked at the framework and you've looked at the systems and the processes that you're using, the next is tracking. You've got to track your sales. You've got to track your figures. You've got to track what's working for you, because if you're not tracking those things, you're not going to know what's working, what's not working. You can't make decisions. Decisions should be based on data,
Yeah, not
not
emotion.
on not on emotions,
Yeah.
not how you're feeling today, you know. It should be based on the data in your business. So that's the framework that I use. Having a successful mindset, habits and routines, implementing a strategy, using a framework for systems and processes, and then finally tracking. That is the shift method that I use to get results in businesses. So that is where I would start.
Yeah, I love that. And I love the fact that you've started with mindset, because I used to talk around similar things. I used to have a four pillars of a business kind of thing. And then I realized there was one thing that was missing, and I could tell everybody how to do the things. But if this mindset isn't right, if they're into a neg head place, and similar to you, when you put up your post, I did a podcast around if you work in your business for 80 plus hours and you pay yourself minimum wage and you've not got a business, you've just got a job. And I got a lot of trolls on some of the tree surgery websites and stuff like that, and a lot of people. But then I realised their mindset is in the wrong place. So I love the fact that you start there, because people go, actually, I want to know how to pay myself 50,000. Is there some magic source? Well, it's not. It's working on yourself first, isn't it? It's working on yourself, like you go to work and work on your business, right?
Yeah, totally. You've got to start with your mindset first, because I truly believe if you're trying to elevate your business to, say, up here, and your mindset and personal development is down here, your business is right. There's not a congruence there. It's not going to align. So we have to really build up our personal development, our mindset, in order to elevate our business. And that's really what I've learned over the many years of doing this.
Yeah, I really agree with that. Well, I always tell everyone this story, but when my first business coach was an action coach, and I paid him 2 grand a month, and the first thing he did is come in and give me a book, and I went, "What are you giving me a book for?" And I'm paying you 2 grand a month, and he was like, "Henry, you're exactly what you just said. Your business has gone up here. You've got a seven-figure business, and you've never done any self-development. You're down here. You need to be leveling up with your business." And it was like this penny drop moment. Like, out of all the money I spent with him, like, that was probably the single one thing that he did was unlock my desire to learn. And I think we all get to that point where, like, people think, "Oh, I'll just work really, really hard," and that just doesn't cut it, does it? We've got to have that desire, the mindset for self-development. So when you sold your business and you exited it, and then now you're coaching, are you just looking after beauty salon owners, or do you look after other business owners? What's your goals for the future? What's the plan for Natasha and business coaching and the online business?
Yeah. So I obviously started out mentoring salon owners, solo therapists, but I my business background does go quite far back to 2006, where I was helping and mentoring lots of different types of businesses. And naturally, I just fell into the beauty space because I had a beauty business myself. But I've always mentored lots of different types of service-based businesses. So now I've kind of niched. Now I want to expand that slightly as well. So now I'm helping other service-based business owners to really systemize their business, to work more, to earn more, work less, and to really grow their businesses. So yeah, I'm expanding to service-based businesses, and yeah, the vision is to get lots of exposure this year.
Yeah, absolutely love that. And you're doing that by winning awards and you're literally trailblazing. I absolutely love it. And it's great to have you here. So what's your views on failure? Like, this is all about fail forward, this podcast. So what's your views on failure and it being part of business and life?
Yeah, so I truly believe that every failure there is a lesson to be learned. You know, I don't know if you've seen the analogy where it's like FAIL. You know, you've really got to fail it. failure is like the first attempt in learning, they say.
Yes, that's it. Yeah, I love that. Yeah,
Yeah, and
absolutely clever.
every single failure that you have, it's only a failure if you keep repeating the same thing over and over again. If you don't learn from it, then yeah, it is a failure. But if you've failed and you've learned from it, that is a lesson there. It's a stepping stone to your next big thing. And I think a lot of the time, you know, when it comes to the stats in small business owners, what is it? Is it like 40% or something like
Yeah, there's lots out there, and I've Googled this a lot, but it's like 80% of businesses fail in the first 10 years. And there's some for like if 1 year and 5 years. And then I think the main one that I've read is 80% fail in the first 10 years. Then the other 20% fail 5 years later or something like that. So there's only like a few percent that really succeed. So yeah,
succeed? Yeah. And I think it's those people that are continuing to learn by the mistakes, to always have a growth mentality, so always looking for I'm truly the student in my business. That's why I'm part of these masterminds and programs and things like that, because I truly believe that without learning new things, without learning from the lessons of failure, without learning from other people's mistakes as well, you know, getting into these masterminds and these groups, you can learn so much from other people and their experiences. So yeah, that's my sort of view on failure.
yeah, absolutely love that. Yeah, definitely. It's part of the process, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, it's got to be part of the process, and it's it's more about building resilience than anything when you're a business owner, because it's the ones that are most resilient that don't quit, that keep going, and that and I know it's not a great thing to say, oh, you've got to keep going, you've got to keep going. You have to work out when things are not going right. And, you know, if you need to quit, then it's not a failure. Like quitting's not bad. It's not about keep doing something, keep doing it just to wait for time to tick over and then hopefully, fingers crossed, it will go okay. That's why I said you've got to always look at the data, look at what's going right, getting professional opinions, you know, getting people to look at your business who have been there before, that who can look at the data and say, well, have you actually tried this? Or let's try and do this a bit differently. Let's put in a strategy for this and let's start tracking the data. And it's not just about sticking at something, it's about really having that strategy to look at the business from a bird's eye point of view.
Definitely. It's like Einstein says the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and again, but expecting different results. And yeah, I love that analogy on failure, first attempt in learning. It really is. And it's a lot of people give up or don't see failure as part of the process. And it's just part of the process. And even in America, I think they celebrate it more. Like everyone sort of wears their business failures like a badge of honor. Like billionaires have failed a couple of times, but they just learn how to get it back quicker every time. And that's kind of what we all need to embrace. And I just from talking to you from the beginning of your story, you can just see through echoing all the way through this the ambition, the drive, the to not give up, and the always learning. And I love that. Like I didn't do any learning for such a long time, and now it's one of my highest values. I'm still the student, and I do the same as you. I'm part of I think 4 masterminds at the moment. I've spent so much money in the last few years, but we're always learning. You know, we're always learning, and then that also then helps the people that we're trying to lift up. And I always say a rising tide raises all ships. So I absolutely love what you're doing, Natasha. So if people want to work with you, people want to get hold of you, what's the best way of following you, seeing your content, and getting in touch with you?
Yeah, so my biggest platform, I know we all have one platform that we love, and it's got, for me, it's got to be Facebook. So um, Facebook, just type in my name, Natasha Britton, give me a follow, drop me a DM if you're looking at getting help with your business. But yeah, I always share lots of content on there. I've also got a free Google business cheat sheet. So if you are a service-based business and you're not utilizing your Google business listing, and I truly believe that Google business listing should be treated as another form of social media, um, updating it regularly, you know, utilizing all of the features. If you do want any advice or tips or guidance on how you can get to the number one spot without paying for ads, drop drop me a little comment on one of my posts or message me, and I'll send you some free guidance around that as well.
Amazing. And yeah, if you send me the link, I'll put it in the show notes for anyone listening or watching on YouTube, and then they can just click on it and get in contact with you. Thank you so much for coming on today, Natasha. It's been brilliant. I've loved hearing your story, and I'm going to continue following and seeing how you help and support everybody.
Thank you so much for having me, Henry. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for listening to the podcast today. I'm on a mission to get people to understand that failure is part of the process. So please share this far and wide, like and subscribe.